Moses and Tyran to talk about their new documentary. It follows Tyran as he's creating this giant mural in a New York City apartment. So we're excited to talk to them about the details. For you two, how did you come together to create this process? Tyran had a commission and you had the camera, but how did you come together and decide to create something like this?
So it's not very often that someone asks you to paint a mural. And so I definitely knew that I wanted to document this somehow, a little bit more than just taking a photo of the final result. And I've seen people in other situations do a time lapse of their paintings. And I even saw one of someone doing a mural, and I thought that would be really cool to kind of do that for this project myself. And so I have a little DSLR digital camera. And so I was just going to plan on I literally am not good with cameras. So I was literally just going to turn it on, hopefully notice when the battery runs out and recharge it or whatever. And so that was when I went to Moses, who I know is very professional with videography. And so initially I was just going to ask him, what type of battery and what size of memory card do I need if it's just going to be constantly running on video? And I'm so grateful that I asked him, because that turned out to be a way better opportunity, because Moses kicked in and offered to actually help.
I saw it as an opportunity for both of us to showcase our work. Me and Tyran, we go way back, and he just asked me a favor for what a simple battery would be, just to catch a time lapse of what he was doing. And then I don't know why, I just felt impressed to go hey, I have a camera. I'll just shoot it and just see what comes of it. So when I got there, I stepped inside and just saw the grand scope of everything he was doing. I'm like, whoa. And so I just, I used my camera, the Canon C300 Mark II, and just started freestyling around and just getting ideas of angles and things. And then afterwards, I was like, Tyran, this could be something. I'm a big fan of bringing as many people along with me to the ride, or just collaborating. I love collaborating with people. So I figured this was an opportunity. That way you could be able to showcase what you do and the process and what it takes to get there, as well as a fun opportunity to use my equipment as well as my knowledge in being able to create a short documentary into another piece for the portfolio, just letting people know, hey, I'm able to do this. We're both able to do this.
How long have you been interested in documentary and film and using your camera to capture life?
I've been into film for a little over 10 years now. I graduated from Pace University in 2013, and funnily enough, very much reminded me of a course that I took at Pace University, where it's literally called Producing the Documentary. The first half of the semester was pretty much pre-production. We would do our research, nail down exactly what we were going to study, and prep the interviews and everything like that. Then on spring break, we'd go to the actual place that we would shoot at. So the year I went was Portugal, and we did a short documentary called Battle Behind the Bottle. It's up on YouTube, actually. We did that, and then when we got back from that, we would work on editing it and piecing it together. So it's we would kind of have an idea of what the story was, but when we're shooting it, we discovered, okay, this is what the story is. And then once we get back, we go okay, we're going to put together in editing, this is what the story is. And it turned out well. I actually won a couple of awards. And so, yeah, it was just really fun going back to that mindset of doing documentaries, because I love doing narratives and telling stories that way. But doing this project kind of awoke in saying, hey, I like doing documentaries too. If the thing's interesting enough, let's do it. So also I want to throw a shout out to my professors, Robert Klager, who believed in me and just wanted me to go through this, as well as my professors, Maria Luske and Andrew Refkin, who was instrumental in my learning process throughout all of this. So yeah.
Tyran, you obviously had to visualize Central Park. It's huge. There's so much of it. So obviously, if you're visualizing it, if you're taking pictures of it, if you're out there drawing it, then increasing it to the size and capacity of these walls, what is the process of making something in your head that's this big maybe come to the size of like 26 feet?
Yeah. So it definitely was, it made a difference that it was going to be two walls across from each other. And the fact that it's down a hallway, I feel like knowing that, I wanted to kind of play trick of the eye the best I could. And so with a mural, I was trying to plan ways that it could look like you could walk into the painting. So part of it, I like specifically have a path that like, you know, starts at the ground and like goes up into the painting, or making it look like you're pretty much eye level with the lake, so that it looks like you'd just be walking right past the lake. So that was definitely something I had to consider. Honestly, as far as the size, I've learned, and I've found it principle to be true. If it works well small in a little sketchbook, it will work large, and no matter how big it goes. So that's nice, because then you can figure it out on a much smaller scale quickly before you move it to a massive size.
And for you, I don't know how long you've been painting actually. Have you been painting?
Yeah, I started painting, I've been drawing since I was little, but got into painting for the first time my first year in high school.
Okay, so it's been several years, at least 10, right?
Yes, definitely. 2010 is when I graduated from high school.
So with these commissions and things, obviously you have to make your client happy, but how do you keep the project fresh, something that you're proud of, that has kind of the mark of Tyran in it, while still making your client happy?
So that was something that they always warned in college about, not getting kind of funneled into something that you're not interested in. And the way that I've found to prevent that is I only post things on Instagram or my website that I am passionate about and I would happily do again. I mean, I've had random things like a charcoal drawing of someone's dog or cat. Like I'm happy to do it, but I'm not going to post that on Instagram, because that would then invite someone to be like, oh, he draws cats. So by posting only what I'm passionate about on my Instagram, it allows people to know that's what I'm interested in, and that's what I would happily want to do for them as well.
Having done a project this big that was different than anything you've ever done before, how does that advance your career or like add to your portfolio?
Yeah, it definitely gave me confidence in what is possible as far as art projects, even willing to go further. Like, this was an interior mural, but I see it being applicable to even doing like an outdoor mural. Obviously, there would be a couple more challenges painting on rougher surface and whatnot, having to consider that. But it's definitely, having done one mural, I know kind of what it takes, and I would actually love to potentially do more in the future.
And with a project this big, were there days you thought you weren't gonna ever get it done, that just kind of felt like, oh my gosh, this project will never end because there's so much space to cover?
Yeah, I feel like that happens with any project. There's always points when I'm painting that I don't see where this is gonna end. I feel like I've ruined it, should just trash it or whatever. And you work through that process. I'm grateful that there was a deadline. Having that deadline, it pushes you through that discouragement, I would say. But absolutely, up until even the very end, there's always little things that I want to work on and keep improving. And I think the best way to get over that is literally just take it bite-sized pieces. Be like, okay, I noticed this one little problem. I'm just going to focus on that and not be overwhelmed by everything else that's like not working right now.
And having talked to a lot of artists, it's kind of almost hard to be done with a painting at points, because you're like, oh, there's just like one little more thing I could add. I probably could just become perfectionist. This is your baby, and we keep putting hours into it. To finally step back from it and be like, okay, this is done. How does it feel to then look at your piece and be like, I created this?
Yeah, it is so exciting. It's because it is, like you said, kind of like your baby, your baby. It's just exciting to document it and then be able to move on, excited to new projects. I'm really grateful for Moses and doing this documentary, because most times it's you complete a painting, you photograph it, you post it, and you move on. But this has been a cool opportunity, making the documentary, to really appreciate the process even more so, and kind of share that with people on social media who normally just get the end result. So I get to share it with them, but it also helps me really appreciate, okay, this has been a good journey that I can remember and I don't want to be lost.
Which is a perfect segue to you, Moses, because I think there is a lot of like a between process in all forms of art. Even in just like creating video, there's such a between process, and everyone always only sees the final result. For you, why was it important to show these steps and all these other pieces that come together before this final masterpiece is created?
Well, for me, it was interesting because very often that people see paintings like on the wall right here and just go like, yeah, that's it. But very hardly ever do you hear of an entire mural being painted in someone's apartment. Just the beauty of it. It's just capturing those little moments and just cutting them together. It was a treat. It was a real treat to be able to do that. So as grateful as Tyran is to me for being able to cut it together, I'm grateful to Tyran for allowing me to get into that world and into that space and just seeing him work. It was magic. It was magic.
I also did a piece on like kind of the conception of something for work. I got to see Claire create a piece from like beginning to end. I feel the same way. It was this like magic moment of taking a white canvas and all of a sudden, because of their skill and talent, something I don't personally possess, they could create a beautiful masterpiece on something that was once blank. Was there a moment that stood out to you where you're like, this is incredible what he's able to create out of nothing, out of his imagination and the skill of his hands?
When he painted the shadow of the Bow Bridge on the water and just seeing how his process and what that entailed. And I was like, for me, it really, like you were saying, it helped me appreciate more of what it takes to create such a beautiful painting. There were just so many moments. So fun thing for me was just playing with the depth of field and playing with the environment that he was painting in. It was a lot of fun.
Do you feel like you gained like a greater appreciation for art and for the steps that take to?
Definitely. I was with him through every step in the actual painting on the mural. So I was able to see the skeleton of it when he was sketching out some parts, as well as him laying down the underpainting, and just seeing how many levels go into creating a mural like that, because it's so much deeper than just painting the actual thing. You got to think shadows, you got to think lighting, you got to think it's a lot that goes into it. And much respect to you, Tyran. You really knocked this out of the park.
From a filming standpoint, a hallway is not a lot of space, even to get a depth of field shot if you're not able to be that far away from your subject. Did you have to get creative with how you were shooting it and also achieving different angles? I mean, there probably wasn't a lot of wiggle room, but you don't want everything to look the same. Was it a creative process?
Yeah, we got super creative. So luckily I'm a short dude. So one of my favorite days of shooting was when Tyran was doing the part nearby the door. And so to get a space of it, I literally went into the bathroom and just shot and just sat either in the tub or like along the tub just to get that shot. Just looking for little opportunities like that. Again, playing around with the apartment, using the depth of field to create that sense of he's doing this in an apartment. He's not doing this in a studio. So it's just like, what are some things that you see in an apartment? Like the pull-up bar, integrating part of the pull-up bar into the shot, as well as just using whatever was in the house. When he was painting the squirrels, he needed the light to be able to just to see exactly what he was painting. So used the light as a frame and then used a modem, I think, and then kind of had him in the middle. So that way you can create them as lovely bookends to be able to, he's doing this in the middle of this. So it was just part of the storytelling process.
As a photographer myself, I 100% appreciate that. Well, I'm excited to see the final product because the pictures of themselves of the mural look incredible. And so, I don't know, it's truly really incredible that you can create something like that, and then when it's framed beautifully from someone who can understand how cameras work, it just heightens the project that much more.
Yeah, because I recognize the value in that as well. When the project was done, I photographed it and posted it on my Instagram, but I literally just had cropped the image itself, and so people liked the painting. It looks like a lovely detailed painting, but actually being able to have a camera give you that sense of size by actually filming a human being compared to the size of the drawing. Even just posting the preview, a little teaser, people got way more excited about that than the actual posting of the image that I did.
I think there's something more to that too, because it's like we talked about previously, it's that idea of just seeing the final product and not understanding the work that goes into it, but also not understanding just how massive an undertaking this is. So going back through the process and viewing that through a documentary, I think allows people to almost be awoken to the idea of the effort that it takes. Not the idea that like, oh, I could never do that. That seems hard. Great job. And instead it's like, wow, I could never do that. That's really impressive. So I think capturing in this kind of visual capacity allows people to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for you, Moses, did you also go through the kind of the process that Tyran did, where you had this visual concept of what you thought it was going to be, and then, like you said, the narrative changed? What you thought the story was all of a sudden became something totally different?
That happened since me just volunteering. I'm like, okay, I'll shoot a couple things for 3 days. Easy peasy. But then when I saw it, it's like, it's one thing when you're watching it, but it's another thing to actually stand in it. So in the process of putting together the video, that was kind of the vibe that I wanted to create. I wanted to create the image that, you're standing there alongside him as he's doing this grand thing. And then there's a bit at the end where he kind of talks in his final thoughts. Just wait for the final montage. I can't wait for y'all to see it. It's going to be so much fun.
Love it. How do I get to see it?
Actually, it's going to drop this Friday on Tyran's website. So if you want to see it, you have to go to tyranschouten.com. There's no paywalls, no nothing. Just
it's going to be a Tyran Schouten exclusive.
Writing it down.
Yeah. So I'll definitely be posting it on social media, but it'll all be directed to the website, which will be great traffic there.
It's just your name, tyranschouten.com. This isn't important, but this is
just yes,
for my own private
knowledge.
Yep,
that's it.
I'm at Moses Akemta for real at Instagram, and my website is mosesakemta.myportfolio.com.
I love that you guys just use your names because it makes it really easy to Google you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
It comes out Friday, right? That's what we said?
Yep, this Friday.
Well, Tyran, Moses, thanks for hanging out with me and answering those questions. Make sure you go to Tyran's website this weekend on Friday to see the video itself. And I hope you enjoy it as much as they did.